Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
You know, I don't think a little bit back on. You there, sister?
I'm here.
Hey.
What's up, BJ?
Hello.
Hi, John.
How are you?
Good. Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Are you the mixologist?
No, I will say, I do have them. I have my glasses prepared.
Very
They're
nice.
ready. I don't know how good it's going to be, but they're ready. I don't think you want me to be your mixologist by any means.
Hey, sister, I'm just checking my system. Can you see me when I speak?
Not right now. Let me see about on this one. No,
Hmm.
I just see the sign that says party with a purpose.
Yeah, that's all I see right now. So maybe that's all that's going on. So
I did when we first signed on, but I don't now.
yeah, okay.
Now I can see you, Dr. Garrett.
Okay, good. It's good to hear. I can see you too. So that's great.
Can't see my red shirt though, can you?
Just the top. You look fine. Not to worry.
Good evening and welcome to Party with a Purpose. My name is Greg Williamson. I'm the Executive Director of Franciscan Health Foundation.
Good evening, Greg. I'm Jim Callahan. I'm our president for Franciscan Health Central Indiana.
So we're virtual. That's a little different.
It is, and it's going to be a fun time.
It is. So do me a favor. One of the first things you can do tonight is share to social media that you're at this event and encourage others to join us. Jim, we're very proud of our mission, and our mission guides us. Our mission is continuing Christ's ministry in our Franciscan tradition. And I'd like to ask Sister Marlene to say a blessing over this evening. And Sister, go ahead.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Dr. Callahan. If you all just pause for a short moment. Almighty Father, through the ministry of your servants, you heal our sickness, comfort us in affliction, and sustain our hope. Enlighten our hearts and give us light and strength to know your will and to make it our own, and to live it in our lives. Unite us to yourself in the banner of love, and keep us faithful to all that is true. To borrow the words of St. Francis of Assisi, whose feast day we will celebrate on Monday, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God give you the grace to never sell yourself short, the grace to risk something big for something good, the grace to remember that the world is too small for anything but love and too big for anything but truth. So may God take your minds and think through them. May God take your lips and speak through them. May God take your hearts and set this world on fire. We ask you to bless this virtual gathering tonight. Bless all who believe in and support our mission and vision. We thank you for their willingness to give of themselves for others. May your loving mercy be with each of them tonight and always. Bless their generosity with an abundance of your grace. Amen.
Thank you, sister. We appreciate that. Jim, a couple housekeeping items. A lot of people are asking where are the bathrooms located, and you might not know this, but we can see you too. So there's a bit of clutter, but down the hall to the left is the bathroom. There's no attendant tonight, so what you've saved in not having to buy a gown and not having to tip and not having to park, we'd ask that you would donate that tonight to help us be successful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Jim, this isn't the first time that a healthcare ministry, we're virtual for the obvious reason,
right.
And this isn't the first time that our healthcare ministry has faced adversity. It goes all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Greg, it's great to be here for this great cause for our Franciscan Cancer Center. We're looking forward to a fun evening with our virtual mixology and cocktail prep. We'll see if we hear barking dogs in the background, it'll be an adventure. And check out the auction items. Right. There's great stuff on the auction. But before we get to the mixology that we're looking forward to, let's reflect for a moment on our mission and our heritage. Yep. And some of you have heard me talk about this before, but it's really great to consider, and that is our organizational roots go back to 1876 when our first sisters came over from Germany to Lafayette, Indiana, in part to take care of patients suffering in a tuberculosis epidemic. And there was no cure for TB at that time. And so some of these sisters bravely and heroically perished in that service. And so fast forward to now our co-workers, for our cancer patients and for all of our patients, are laboring to care for our patients in this pandemic. And that is a great thing. And we want to honor them and recognize them. And I think, Greg, you have a video coming up about that.
Yeah, so September was our annual employee picnic. And that is our employee health and wellness team puts on that picnic. It's a nice opportunity to get outside, step away from the unit, enjoy a nice meal. So what the foundation did this year is we wanted to add a little bit of a special thank you, and we hired an artist, Tracy Stum. Tracy travels the world and she is a street artist. And so she'll paint optical illusions. And when you take a picture of it, it looks 3D. So we had Tracy come and do a painting on our campus as part of the employee picnic, and take a look. Hi, I'm Greg Williamson. I'm the Executive Director of Franciscan Health Foundation, Central Indiana. Today's the employee picnic on the Mooresville campus. We are here to say thank you to all of our employees for their dedication, their passion, their commitment to our mission. It's been a really difficult 18 months, and our employees are shining, and they just bring the passion and commitment every day, and we're grateful.
The manifestation of coming together with a meal is the whole concept of a family giving thanks for everything that they do for us and that we all do together to support our mission. But it's the Foundation's way of giving back to all of those that have helped us, and then to recognize our donors who've been so generous.
Today we're on the Mooresville campus for employee picnic, and Tracy has produced this beautiful piece of artwork that our employees can interact with. Tracy, tell us more about this artwork.
Sure. This artwork that I created is called 3D street painting, and it's an optical illusion that is flat on the ground, and when you stand from a fixed point, you can see the optical illusion through your camera. So the idea is to take a picture and enjoy the illusion that occurs. But the best part is that we open this up as a theatrical backdrop to invite our guests to come in and enjoy the painting and complete the painting. So when people are coming by, which we've had hundreds of people come by today, they stop and they say, "What are you doing? What's happening here?" Oh, we made a 3D street painting. They're super excited. They want to get in, they want to take a photo and have a souvenir to take home and show their friends.
Tracy has traveled all over the world producing this interactive 3D art, and we are very privileged to have her in Central Indiana. And Tracy has agreed to a unique opportunity. Our annual Party with a Purpose is on October 2nd. It begins at 7 p.m. Part of our fundraising is you can purchase the Tracy Stum experience. And Tracy will bring her 3D interactive art to your corporation so that your employees can enjoy it. And as Tracy said, we've had hundreds of employees come through and they take pictures either with themselves or with their friends, and they're laughing and they're enjoying the experience. And so it's a unique opportunity for you to bring the same experience to your employees and raise money for the Franciscan Cancer Center.
My name is Sister Martha Ann, one of the sisters here. On behalf of all the sisters, we simply say thank you for all that you have done throughout the year. Thank you, God bless.
Thank you.
All right, well, Greg, you and Sister Martha Ann were looking good in that video. That was a great program and great art, and really a demonstration of how great our coworkers are. The dedication, the culture with which they treat patients, it's really admirable.
It was a lot of fun.
So,
In that video, Jim, just to highlight that again, so Tracy has offered to come and she'll paint an original painting just like that. We've set a price tag on this experience of $12,500. $7,500 will cover Tracy's expenses and flight and materials, but $5,000 goes to Franciscan Health Cancer Center. And a really special thank you to our friends at Cardon and Associates. Jim, you know, they're a partner in our healthcare ministry.
appreciate them.
And so they purchased that experience, and we have that package available. Tracy will do that for anybody. So your next Employee Appreciation Day or Customer Service Appreciation Day, consider the Tracy Stum experience.
All right, so keep up that bidding. Speaking of that,
Yep.
there's great stuff in the silent auction, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already, and keep up that bidding. Now, here Greg and I are, and we don't have the luxury of having a sink or a freezer, but we did have some ice and a bar towel, so we're tailgating here a bit. But Greg, you know, I remember you said we'd be setting this up in a Donnie and Marie show format, maybe for that show from the 70s, if you remember.
Donnie.
Yeah, so Greg claims the Donnie role, which doesn't leave me with much, but I said, I don't think that's a great idea. You know, Greg, I took guitar lessons in 4th grade, but that was a long time ago, unless maybe for a big donation, maybe say $10,000, maybe I get the guitar out and take a crack. Yeah. But anyway, let's talk more about our cancer services.
Well, we're going to do that, Jim, but I think the next is our mixologist.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to cut away to Boston, get your kits out, get your kits prepared, and let's learn how to make our first cocktail.
Hear, hear.
Excellent. Greg, thank you so much. So nice to see you all. We are live here in Boston, Massachusetts. My name is Jason Roth. I'm the owner here at Drinkmaster. I'd like to introduce you all to...
We're muted, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're ready to go. Yeah. I'd like to introduce you all to Eric Cross. Eric is actually one of Boston's most well-regarded craft cocktail bartenders. And Eric is going to guide you all through the process of making well-balanced cocktails. This is a team building event. We do welcome you all to participate, ask questions, get involved in the trivia, and we're going to definitely go over some cocktail history. Ladies and gentlemen, they call him Yoda in the industry, the one who knows. So nice to see you all. Eric Cross.
Thank you, Jason. Hello, everyone. Welcome to your virtual bar. I am Eric Cross, and I've been slinging drinks in and around Boston since around 95. In that time, I've had the privilege and honor of serving some of the greats, including Julia Child, Martha Stewart, even the Dalai Lama. I've also helped transform the bar from the dark ages of the 90s, where it was more about showing off, more about artificial ingredients and strong flavors. Now we've brought the culinary back to the bar. We want balance in our drinks. We're looking for fresh and good quality ingredients and using the proper techniques. So today I'm going to impart some of that wisdom with you, help you get a nice, tasty libation in your hand soon. So let's get into this. So to begin with, we have a wonderful executive chef who makes these wonderful syrups. And the first drink we're going to make is kind of a holdover from Prohibition. It used a honey syrup to kind of cover up flavors of bad spirits during that time. Fortunately, we're well beyond that and we have good spirits to work with. But let's grab that bottle of Chef's Tonic with honey and rose hips. Chef's Tonic with honey and rose hips. You want to swirl it around. There might be some sediment. They're all natural. You want to keep them in your refrigerator, and there's going to be leftovers for you to play with later. Now, crack it open and smell it, right? We want to educate our palate. Our nose is a big part of our taste. Also, notice some of those ingredients. Whenever you want honey into a cocktail, you have to pre-dissolve it. Honey won't go into a cocktail shaker and dissolve correctly. So the chef has made a honey syrup, and he's put some rose hips in here, which is another cool ingredient packed with vitamin C and said to help boost your immune system. So another little benefit. Now for this honey sour, we're using a bourbon. Could someone show me the bourbon that you were shipped so I know what we're working with? Put it right up to the camera, right on. So you'll notice that it says a couple of key words on it: Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Those words matter, they carry weight, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But let's crack that open and smell that as it's on its own by itself. Because you know, bourbon, you can drink it by itself, even though we're making a cocktail with it today. We're going to have a lemon for our sour. Very traditional to use lemon juice whenever we're making those kind of brown liquor sours, besides rum, of course. And we're going to do a little mise en place with this. Now, that's a fancy French chef way of saying everything in its place. So for us right now, all we have to do is cut our fruit before we make this drink. So with lemons, I usually say cut the ends off. It makes it a little easier to juice them if you're just juicing by hand. So lightly cut the ends of your lemon off. Try not to get too much of the pulp in there, and this is going to be a simple process. We're just going to cut this lemon into 4 quarters. So once we have a flat surface, we'll just cut it right down the middle, right in half. And then we're going to cut those in half, and then we'll get our lemon quarters for our juice. Excellent. So now we're ready to construct the cocktail. So first, the glass you'll drink out of. I want to get some ice in here because I want a nice full looking glass, but I'm not going to fill it up because we're going to use the shaken ice as well. So get a little bit of ice in the glass you're going to be drinking out of. This is a helpful hint, good habit to get into. Always chilling your glass. Even if you're going to drink it on the rocks, a nice cold glass is a benefit. Now we're going to use a shaker for this drink. The rule behind the bar is just alcohols like martinis, Manhattans, Negronis, we stir those drinks. When we add juice like lime or lemon, we shake it. So we're going to shake this. We're going to shake it good. So you want to take apart that strainer. This is called a cobbler when it has that built-in strainer like that. And this is great. Travels really good. And you want to fill that cup with ice as well. Key thing about ice in cocktail making is not just about chill and temperature. It's actually about dilution. We want to get some of that ice melted into our drink to make that balanced drink. And of course, you couldn't have consistency and balance without something to measure with. So we introduced these back to the bar. They were gone for about a century and they came back now. We call those jiggers. We have little steel measuring cups, 2 sides, and a perfect proportion because it's a 2-to-1 ratio. And that's what we're looking for in our sour drinks. So for our sweet and sour, we're going to use the small side of our jigger. If you happen to lose your jigger, you could grab a tablespoon and 2 tablespoons would do or suffice. Be close. Now to hold this jigger in place, nice and level and without spilling, I take my palm, face it up like so, split my fingers, and then I rest it right there. And that makes a nice level surface. as well as making it very easy once I fill it in to turn it over into my shaker. So no mess. So let's take that honey syrup, small side of our jigger, fill it all the way to the top. Don't be skimpy on it. Don't be scared. Get it to the top and then just turn it right over and in, right into the shaker. So we go sweet first, then our sour. So our proportions are equal parts sweet and sour. So we're going to use the same measurement for our lemon juice. One caveat though, be careful with the lemon. Sometimes it will squirt onto your computer, your phone, your eyeballs. Be aware of that. Put it very close to the measuring cup and, try to get as much juice into the cup rather than on your table. It can be a challenge. Don't be worried about a few seeds. You don't want too many seeds, but a few won't harm you in the measurement. And depending on your lemon, it'll be probably half or 3/4 of the lemon to get your proper amount of lemon juice. Again, we want an equal part of sweet and sour for the balanced recipe. And this lemon looked promising because it was so big, but the skin is probably an inch thick. So I think I might have to use the whole thing. And that does happen from time to time. And once you have that juice, you want to toss that into your shaker with our syrup. Now comes the bourbon. Now, if you want to measure the bourbon, that's when we're going to go to the other side of the jigger. That's the 2-to-1 ratio. Funny thing is that little mini bottle is exactly the amount. So you could pour it straight into your shaker, save yourself a step. If you want to practice with me though, use the big side of the jigger. I have mine in a craft, so I'm going to pour in that 1.5 ounces and in there as well. All right, so now that we have all of our ingredients together, now comes the shake. We want to put that cover on nice and snug, right? Make sure the cap is on as well. When we shake it, we're going to have our index finger over the entire thing, kind of holding it together. Make sure it stays together when we're shaking it. And we're going to shake it for about 10 seconds or so until it gets a nice frosty look on it, kind of cold hands. All right, let's have a good time and shake it up. Boom. All right, if your hand is frosty and cold like mine is, you will have done a good job of shaking. Now we're going to be using the passed ice as well. So what we want to do is kind of take the whole top off, kind of squeeze the bottom. I'm going to dump the entire contents over that ice in my glass that I'm drinking out of. Like those little bits, those little chips of ice are nice accent. And you know what? I'm going to throw a little butt here to give it a little garnish. Everyone, please raise your glass. Cheers. Let me know. I hope you love your libation. And I'll take any questions about the drink. I hope everyone, if anyone needs help catching up, got lost on a step, let me know. I'll help you catch up. And if there are any questions about this sour or whiskey in general, I'll take it right now. Beautiful. All right.
It's been the best drink I've ever made.
Excellent. Love that one.
There we go. I'm not even a bourbon guy.
And you got extra left over. So what's really cool about this syrup in particular, if you're not a bourbon person, this works for almost all spirits. In fact, it has different names for every spirit. It starts with one called the bee's knees, and that's from Prohibition, where they use gin and honey and lemon. Delicious drink. So if you want to use the rest of this with some gin, same proportions. If you love tequila, they call that a honeybee. If you like brandy or cognac, you're making a sidecar with a little extra flavor, a little extra honey, that's all delicious. It really will work with anything. So versatile and delicious. But of course, so they say that the Gold Rush cocktail, which we're drinking now, was made in New York City about 10 years ago, a little place called Milk and Honey. But I did a little research and I found out actually it was invented in the 40s, or at least published in the 40s, just under a different name, a simple name. They just called it a honey sour. So sorry, Milk and Honey, someone beat you to it. Your name is better, but the drink is the same. Cool thing about bourbon, it's the official cocktail of the United States. No other country in the world could put that word bourbon on their whiskey. And that's because we have a certain set of rules, regulations. First one being, it has to be in the USA. Secondly, it has to have 51 or more % of corn in it. Gives that whiskey a little sweet caramel flavor. Could have rye in it as well, wheat and barley. Another thing is it is the only whiskey that really uses new oak wood to age itself. So it ages quicker. It's got a little bit extra of that American punch to it, you know, and as opposed to Scotch and Irish whiskey, which usually use secondhand barrels. They're actually using a lot of old bourbon barrels to age their whiskey, which is pretty cool too, if you think about that. Anyone else have a question or comment? Well, about prohibition a little bit. So, you know, during that time, we had some bad spirits, bathtub gin. We had whiskey that was flavored and colored with tobacco leaves, a lot of big things. But we did a little bit of good things. We traveled around the world. We brought things back with us, some unique spirits. We did a little smuggling. I like to call it, you know, import business. You know, it's down south. And our next drink with our margarita, we'll learn about tequila, where we came in from the bottom of our border. But over here in the Northeast, we were bringing in rum from the islands with our rum runners. Down south, of course, they had those cars that were racing the police. We actually created a sport from that. Anyone heard of NASCAR before? Over in Chicago, we had whiskey coming in from Canada. Now, bourbon versus Canadian whiskey, big difference. Canadian whiskey, even though it can be made with a lot of corn, they call it a lot of times, they call it rye. Even when it's a corn whiskey, they'll be like, I'll have a glass of rye. Well, that's an interesting thing. In the United States, if it's 51% or more rye, that's when we call it a rye. And the different flavors between those is huge. Rye is dry, peppery, got a little kick. Bourbon is sweet. Anyone know the #1 liquor that's made in America, that's made from corn, that's not bourbon? Anyone in Texas? You have to know this if you're in Texas or from Texas or seen Texas. You know, I was about to say, it's the artisanal liquor, and famous in that #1 American cocktail, the Moscow Mule. What's the #1 vodka in America made from corn? Believe it or not potatoes, not wheat. Tito's, yes. So Tito's was made from corn, and that allowed them to market themselves as gluten-free and kind of boom in business here in the US. Extra credit though, what was the best-selling vodka before Tito's in the USA? Anyone get that one? They were the ones that actually invented the Moscow Mule. You have to go back to the 50s to remember that one. I wasn't drinking age in the 50s, but if you can believe that.
Stoli.
That's a good guess. Stolichnaya is a classic Russian vodka, and a lot of people, this started as a Russian vodka as well. Starts with an S as well. Someone wants to say it.
Smirnoff?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Smirnoff.
Yep, exactly. It was Smirnoff. Smirnoff invented the Moscow Mule.
What?
And they were the biggest brand here for about 50 years. So they had a good run with it until Tito's took that title from them. We do like our vodka here now, but it wasn't always the case. In our early colonial days, what was the main spirit that was the first big industrial business that we had going on here? It wasn't whiskey, wasn't vodka, wasn't even gin. That was for the Brits. What did we have over here that we liked? Comes from the islands, but we made a lot. I'm here in Boston, live downtown Boston. Yeah, you got it. We actually had a couple of huge accidents here. At one point, there was a big water tower that was actually filled with molasses in our Italian district called the North End. It busted one year, and people actually died in that molasses collapse. They say in the North End, you can still walk down certain corners and still catch a whiff of the molasses still stuck in the cracks. Well, hope you're enjoying your Gold Rush. We're going to have another cocktail coming up shortly, but let me pass it back to the party. Back to you. Take it away. Right, party with a purpose.
Okay. Are we back? Jim, you had an interesting bit of trivia yourself.
Well, you know, Greg, so I don't want to go out of bounds too much, but we are at Franciscan Health, and some may know that there are a couple of wineries out in Napa, California, Franciscan and St. Francis, and they claim to have made it through Prohibition and stayed in business because they were making church wine. So they're still with us today. Another fact as we learn about history here.
Yeah. Jim, you know, virtual events are not without risk. Did you know that?
I did.
So we just got a report that one of our youngest guests has turned over their sippy cup and they stuffed it in between the couch cushions. So if you need to leave for a moment, that's fine. Just come right back to the party. Jim, we're at that point of the evening where we talk about the purpose and raising money for Franciscan Cancer Center.
Yeah, and Greg, one of the things we want to feature about our cancer program is our bone marrow transplant program. It is one of only 2 in the state, and it is a very complex and sophisticated and technologically sophisticated treatment regimen. It's lengthy, and so patients come in from all over the state and beyond, and for those who need it, we're able to provide a furnished apartment to stay, to be near their loved one. And that doesn't happen without the donations that we will get here tonight.
Those, you're right, those fully furnished apartments are made possible entirely by gifts to the foundation. So we actually have a video of a grateful patient, and we'd like to share that with you now.
Hi, my name is Jason Cox. I'm 40 years old, and I was a patient at Franciscan Hospital. I have a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful daughters, and they're very supportive. If anyone is thinking about making a donation to this foundation, I would say it would be a wonderful, wonderful idea. As soon as I found out, as soon as the doctors found out that I had B-cell ALL, I got a call at work at about 3 p.m. and was in Franciscan Hospital that same day, about 4 hours later, to start treatment. The treatment there included, almost immediately, they started with chemotherapy treatment, trying to get the leukemia into remission. So I went through a bone marrow transplant, which is a very interesting process where they kind of kill off all of your, all of my body's immune system, and then they rescue me, they say, with someone else's stem cells. And they came to me and let me know that after I had the actual bone marrow transplant, that I would have to stay locally, that my location where I live from the hospital was too far away. And they were able to provide there through Franciscan a living quarters, some apartments that are basically directly across from the hospital. And I ended up staying there for the better part of a month, which was great. Big cost savings and just the not mentally having to worry about, you know, how I was gonna find living down there in the Indianapolis area for that long period of time. The living quarters there were just fantastic, Had a nice bedroom there with 2 nice mattresses, had a really nice living room, fully furnished kitchen. They provided all of the amenities. Pretty much all you had to do was bring your clothes and food, and everything else was furnished. But yeah, I was pretty limited at what I could do, and spent the better part of that month pretty much the whole time just inside the apartment when I wasn't at the hospital. Since I had the bone marrow transplant, I have been able to rebound rather quickly, and I'm 7 months out now from the transplant. And as of, gosh, it's been 3 months ago, I've been able to go back to work full-time, back to the gym full-time, and my life has gotten back to almost 100% normal already. If I could thank the people at the hospital and the foundation, what I could try to put into words, I would say that their level of care there is top-notch, from top to bottom. Like I say, from from the social workers to the doctors. Everyone there is just fantastic, and I would say from the bottom of my heart, thank you very, very much.
And we're back, and that was a powerful testimony about what can be accomplished when people give a charitable gift. Jim, tonight we're privileged and pleased to have the medical director of Franciscan Health Cancer Center join us, Dr. Peter Garrett. And Peter, are you with us?
I am. Good evening.
There you are.
There he is. Mm-hmm.
Good evening. Peter, when you watch that video and you see the impact of those fully furnished apartments for someone getting a bone marrow transplant, what comes to mind for you?
Well, that brings a lot of personal memories back to my wife and myself. Many years ago, our 9-month-old son was diagnosed with leukemia, had a transplant at 1.5 years, and he's now a 41-year survivor of cancer. So we'll talk about survivorship in a little bit, but mostly my emotions tonight are thanks. Thanks to the foundation. Thanks to everyone who donates. It does make a huge difference for all our patients.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. And I do want to say thank you to you and all your colleagues at Cancer Care Group. You're always very generous whenever we come and ask for any gift or support cancer-related. You are always so very generous. Jim, what are your thoughts about what's going on at the Cancer Center and the important role of charitable giving?
Greg, the Cancer Center is such a vital program for our community. And let's talk about a few things toward which our donations will go tonight. Prevention, patient financial assistance, and then survivorship, surviving after cancer. In the prevention area, as we'll be coming into our Healthy Living Center, we do a lot of screenings. We do a lot of education in the community. We have smoking cessation programs. We have a genetic counseling program. For patient financial assistance, the donations we gain here tonight will help people with transportation to their appointments, with diet and exercise and buying nutritional food that helps with recovery. And we've really gone out of the way sometimes with the help of the foundation. We have sometimes paid a utility bill for a patient, bought a set of tires for a patient so they could make their appointments, even bought an air conditioner in the middle of the summer for a family that was struggling, all through the donations of our generous donors. But Peter, back to you on survivorship and our Moving Beyond program, if you would.
I look at tonight and what the foundation does, almost like the movie industry, where we have a feature presentation, which is treatment, we have a sequel, and we have a prequel. So patients finish their treatment, whether that be surgery, radiation, chemotherapy. They're used to coming in quite often daily, where the foundation helps with gas cards, as you mentioned, and nutrition. But then we set them free, which is the goal. But that creates a lot of anxiety and angst in patients. They're like, what do I do? I'm not coming back for treatment tomorrow. They get used to seeing us, become friends with the nursing staff, technical staff. So in 2016, under the directorship of Dr. Erica Rager, we developed this Moving Beyond program. It's unique in the state, one of the unique programs in the country. It's an 8-week course where we stress to patients and families healthy living, exercise, spiritual care, emotional care. And I think it's really important that we not only do this for patients, but do it for families too. And the great thing about it, it's free. Not free as in costing free, but it's free to patients. There's no charge. But the foundation has supported this. One of the benefits of the COVID, not that there's a lot, is that we've been able to do, just like tonight, a lot of virtual things. And this year, we've been doing our Moving Beyond program virtually. We're going back to live at the start of the year. But we've had people from around the state. We've had people from Illinois. We've had even people from South Carolina. So your donations are really not just helping our local community, but helping a large portion of our population.
Thank you, Dr. Garrett. It's just so important to consider making a charitable gift tonight. You've heard the impact that can be made. And we, like you said, Jim, we do a lot of assistance for people that are in need. But there are things that, like the gentleman in the video who had to travel that great distance, you know, that's not impacted necessarily by financial means. That's just a hardship that a cancer patient faces. And so I'm just delighted that the foundation can provide those furnished apartments as well as the survivorship program to anybody, regardless of where they receive treatment. So I would just like to encourage you this evening, if you're watching, to take a moment to donate, and we would be extremely grateful. And just know that you're making a tremendous impact. You can feel confident in that.
All right.
All right, back to the fun.
Back to the fun.
Okay, I think we're ready
Number
to
two.
mix our strawberry basil margarita. And so we're going to head back to Boston and go.
Right on. Welcome back, everyone. Now we're going to be making end of the summer classic. I say you can have margaritas all year round, but whenever we have those kind of fruity margaritas, reminds me of the summertime. So let's get into the strawberry basil margarita. Now, first we want to grab the chef's syrup, strawberry basil, give it a little swirl. Again, all natural ingredients. You want to keep them in the refrigerator. You're going to have extras to play with. If you have questions about other recipes, you don't even have to make a margarita with this. You don't even have to make a hard drink with this. You can make a soft drink. They're delicious. So if you have a question, ask after. Let's crack that open and educate our palate. So definitely some strawberries. Notice that hint of pepper under there. You know, basil kind of have that little bit of pepper notes on there. Delicious. Love that in my margarita. Now we of course need tequila. Could someone put that little mini bottle of tequila to the camera so I can see what you're working with? Right on. So whenever, that's a really good quality tequila at a good price. One thing when you're shopping for tequila, you always want to read the label. Make sure that it says 100% de agave or blue or azul. Has to have that 100% on it to ensure that it's actually 100% tequila. There are some tequilas out there that only use 51% tequila and can fill it with a bunch of other stuff, but they can't claim to be 100%. Very important fact. Now, of course, we need limes for our, or at least a lime. Our first margarita recipe says juice of 1 lime, but we'll see. We're going to have equal portions. And when you have limes, they get a little hard sometimes. I like to massage them out, break that juice, break some of those fibers apart. Even if you like roll it, kind of like kneading some dough on the counter, that really works really good. It gets a little loose, little massage. Simple mise en place for this as well. We're going to cut that lime into 4 quarters. So from end to end, stem to end, just cut it right in half and then cut those halves in half. We'll be ready to make the cocktail after that. So you could have your margarita. Classically, it's served on the rocks. That's how we'll have it here. You might see it up other places. You might even see it frozen other places. But let's get our drinking glass with a little bit of ice in it, maybe a third full. And again, let's grab our shaker because this is a shaken drink. All sour drinks are shaken. So take apart the cap and fill that cup with ice. Once again, the ice isn't just about cold, it's about dilution. We want to dilute the drink down to a good ABV so it's nice, balanced, smooth. And we'll always start with the syrup. So let's go to the small part of our jigger. Again, palm facing up. My fingers are split. I'm resting it there. I want a nice level. So level means all the way to the top. All the way to the top with the syrup. That's why I have it really close so I can just turn it over the ice. So take the strawberry syrup, small side of the jigger, all the way to the top, and then over and in. Now for equal portion of our sour, let's use that same side of our jigger and squeeze that lime into it. Again, be wary of electronics, but limes tend to be a little bit better behaved than lemons when it comes to squeezing them, I found. And this could take 3 quarters, it could take the whole lime. Like I said, the early margarita recipe was an entire lime. And for me, that's what it's going to be. I thought so. That was a golf ball sized lime. But beautiful. It was juice. Get the juice in there. All right, now again, that little mini bottle is exactly the proportion, the 2-to-1 that we're looking for our main spirit. So you can pour it right into your shaker, or you can grab the big side of the jigger like I am. All right, so the big side of the jigger all the way to the top. Now, if you are using the jigger to measure it out, you might notice there's a little bit left in the bottle because the bottle is 1.6 ounces and we're really looking for 1.5. But make sure to get it all into the shaker. That 0.1, we don't want it wasted. We want it in the drink. Now we're going to put the strainer back on, make a nice tug fit. We're going to shake it with our index finger over the top. We're going to shake it hard. We're going to get about 10 seconds or so in and get that dilution in there as well as chill up that sour. All right, let's shake it up. And frozen. It's good to have that bar towel to, and again, I'm going to use the ice that we shook with, the past ice for the drink. So taking off the entire cap and cover, strainer, and then I'm going to pour it over my fresh ice here. And a nice, well-balanced, real ingredients, no triple sec. Enjoy your summer strawberry basil margarita. Cheers, everyone. Please take yourselves off of mute. Cheers each other. Salute, whatever language. Joust.
Cheers.
Right on. Yours looks good. Good color.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers.
Michael, how's your how is this thing?
I've liked both of them quite a bit.
Honestly, I have too. I can't make drinks worth anything. So
yeah, you know, I follow recipes and I'm never successful. So
Amen.
I think we need Eric with us a few more times.
Right on.
We'll just make this a habit on the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about tequila and reading that label. Another thing you might have noticed on the label that you had, some will say reposado. So basically, when you're shopping for tequilas, the first very freshest tequila they call silver or blanco. And that's going to be unaged. And whenever we're talking about spirits and aging, we're talking about touching wood of some sort, right? And that's how it transforms from clear to darker to darker to darker, depending on how long it's aged for. So reposado means rested, and that means it's going to be touching wood for a little bit, you know, about 6 months or so. But if we want to age our tequila more, say a couple of years, they call that añejo. And those are going to be more of your sipping style, whiskey style, if that's a term, for your tequilas. Misconception about tequila is that it's different than mezcal. And you might have heard of mezcal. It's the mother, the umbrella of all sorted, fermented, and distilled agaves. Tequila is just a special version. Just like bourbon is a special version of whiskey, tequila is a special version of mezcal. It can only use a certain type of agave, the blue agave. It can only be made in Jalisco, where their town called Tequila exists. So there's certain rules and parameters to that to keep it consistent and good. So that product continuity is important. Well, let me brief story about how maybe I think the margarita got its name before we do a little round the world trivia. And please, everyone, take yourselves off of mute. We're going to get a little interactive with this. If you feel free, we'll have some fun talking about different spirits from around the world. But I think this is an interesting story because no one really says it except for me. And I think it's cool because everyone wants to take credit for who created the margarita. This hotel says they did. That hotel says they did. No one can agree. But back in the old days, there was a drink called a daisy. And what a daisy was any spirit with a sour that you added another flavor to it. So a whiskey sour, if you added grenadine to it, was a whiskey daisy. Now a tequila sour, if you added another flavor to it, rather than call it a tequila daisy, it just so happens the Spanish word for daisy is margarita. So that's where I think the margarita gets its name. And you can share that story with anybody you know. My story, I'm sticking with it. Now into some trivia. During Prohibition, like I said, we went around the world, we traveled. A good thing about that is we brought back some foreign and exotic spirits. Now they're at our bars and we have access to them all year round, but back then it was a little bit different. So let's start down in South America in our mental journey. Let's fly down there, get off the plane. As soon as we do, someone hands us a caipirinha. What country are we in? Somebody knows this one. South America, caipirinha.
Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil. Extra credit if you can say the spirit, the main spirit in that caipirinha.
I can't pronounce.
Yeah, well,
Caracasas? I can't say it.
Kasasha. Yeah, you're close enough. We'll give you the digital zoom on that one, right? Now, let's head a little further south in South America. Across the border, someone hands us a Fernet and Coke. What country are we not crying for?
Argentina.
Thank you. Yes, Argentina. They had an Italian Fernet factory there, which took off. And if you've never had Fernet, I know there's some doctors in the house. This starts actually as medicine to help your digestion. So it's commonly used in Italy after dinner, bitters, gentian root, kind of these herbs and spices. But Fernet Branca is on the extreme of bitter. So if you're not prepared for that kind of mouthwash bitter, you might get a shock. So be aware, Fernet Branca is on the extreme of that Italian Amaro. But we would be remiss to leave Argentina without having some of their fabulous wine. What should we get for wine in Argentina?
Malbec.
You right on, VJ. Malbec. And I'll give you extra credit if you could tell me the best valley that grows the best Malbec in Argentina. Also starts with an M.
Maipo.
Nice. Oh.
Mendoza.
You got it. Mendoza. Yeah, Mendoza Valley. Grapes love to grow in valleys because of controlled temperatures, cool mornings, fog, and then warmer climate during the day. That's how they thrive. So the best wines grow in the best valleys, or at least in valleys. Staying in South America, though, another country that makes really inexpensive and, in my opinion, great wine for the price. It's called Carmenere, a little lesser known grape varietal. In this country, it's not a hot pepper, but it's similar. Who makes Carmenere?
Chile.
There you go. I was like, that was a pretty softball clue there. I mean, yeah, a little roundabout, but yes, Chile, they make a very good wine, Carmenere. But for years, they thought Chileans didn't know how to make wine because they thought they had Merlot instead of Carmenere. And even though they're identical looking, identical leaves, they have a big difference. The Carmenere takes 2 weeks longer to ripen. So for many, many years, the Chileans were making unripened grape wine, which, as you might think, is not the best. Once they figured out they had Carmenere, they let it ripen a couple of weeks longer. Now their wine is delicious. Grab a bottle of Carmenere if you think about it at the store. Great price. But before we leave South America, let's go to Peru. What should we order in Peru? What's their official drink? It rhymes with
Pisco.
You are right. I didn't even have to say it, and you pull it out. Good one.
BJ,
Yes.
I mean, my goodness, you know your booze, buddy.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
I need a backup plan when the medical thing doesn't work out.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's cardiology.
Yeah.
Right on, VJ. That's correct. Pisco sour. Pisco sour has another interesting ingredient in it. Do you know that one for extra credit? What makes it creamy and foamy on top?
Egg whites.
Yeah, an egg white. So egg white in a sour drink is very common and nutritious. I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm saying it has protein, gives it some extra texture, makes it seem richer, more luxurious. And science will say that protein does slow the absorption of alcohol. And if you ever looked at some hangover cures, a lot of them have eggs involved in them. Looking at you, Tom Cruise, and your red eye cocktail with tomato juice and a raw egg. If you have the stomach to handle that, you're probably not hungover in the first place. But let's head to the islands. Let's talk a little beer. If I'm having a red stripe, where am I?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
In fact, Jamaica man. How about if I'm having a Viking beer? I'll be in the country that was discovered by the Vikings, but they misnamed me so they can keep me for themselves. Who likes Viking beer?
Is it one of the ABC islands?
It's not one of the ABC, it's at least to my knowledge, but it's a short flight off of the East Coast. It's often a stopover to Europe.
Iceland?
You got it. Iceland. Iceland loves their Viking beer. Well, let's go to the other side of the world. Where are we if we're drinking a tiger beer? There's a few countries that love their tiger.
Thailand?
Yeah, Thailand is one of them. Yeah, Malaysia, Indonesia, they love that. If we're having a Sapporo, what should we have for dinner?
Japan.
Sushi.
Yeah, we should have some sushi or something like that with our Sapporo. But say we don't like beer, we want wine with our sushi. What do we order?
Sake.
Sake, right? Now, opposed to most wine on the planet, what is sake made from?
Rice.
Rice, exactly. The most bought and sold, or actually consumed, thing on the planet comes from South Korea. It's a rice wine. Does anybody happen to know that name of that rice wine from South Korea? Biggest selling liquor on the planet. Soju. So if you're ever at the store, soju, more people drink soju on a daily basis than anything else, if you can believe that. But if you're having a Chimay beer, where are you?
Belgium.
Yes, you're in Belgium. Now, this is a hard one, but you'll get double credit for this. What order of monks make the Chimay beers? Not the Abbey monks.
Oh, the Trappist monks.
You got it. You know something about some beer. I like it. Yeah, Trappist monks make Chimay in Belgium. They have one monastery / brewery in the United States. What state can lay claim to that fact? Give you a hint. In it.
Massachusetts.
All right, someone's paying attention. Massachusetts. Yeah, it's a little town called Spencer. They named their beer Spencer after the town that they're in. You can visit them, but they take a vow of silence, so they're not very talkative. But they do make a great American Trappist beer there. But the beer capital of the United States, what state lays claim to drinking more beer per capita than anyone else? This makes sense if you think about it.
St. Louis? No.
We're in the right region. We got to go a little further north.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, you said it, Wisconsin. Where all those old school breweries, Wisconsins love those beers. In fact, they have the champagne of beers. What is that one?
Miller.
High Life.
Yeah, High Life. Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. Well, this state houses the oldest brewery in the United States. What's the oldest running brewery in the U.S.?
Yuengling.
It is correct, Yuengling. Now, cool thing about Yuengling, during Prohibition, obviously they couldn't make beer. They switched gears and started making a frozen dessert item that they still make today in 13 different flavors. What does Yuengling make besides beer? Frozen dessert item.
Sorbet.
Good guess, but you're going to go a little bit up. Sorbet's a little too healthy. Got to go a little higher. No one wants to take a guess at the classic frozen dessert item that we all love.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Thank you. Yes, comes in 13 different flavors from Yuengling. Some cool flavors like butter beer, also some root beer float. It's delicious. Now, that's the oldest brewery in the US, but not even close to the oldest brewery in the world. This brewery, Weihenstephaner, has been operating for almost 1,000 years, since 1040 AD. Where do they exist?
Belgium, Duvel.
It's a good guess. No, though. Where is Weihenstephaner? It's in the name, Weihenstephaner.
Germany.
Louder.
Germany.
Yeah, Germany. Germany houses Weihenstephaner. Extra credit, they make a famous beer made out of wheat. Anyone know the name of that wheat beer?
Kolsch.
It's a good guess. Not many people know that. That's good. But no, it's a wheat beer called something Weizen.
I would say Weizengut.
Hefeweizen.
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 Yeah, Hefeweizen. Hefeweizen
Think
is
of-
that
right.
German wheat beer. What are some famous American wheat beers? Anyone? There's a few of them. Just one example. I know this was getting traction for a while ago.
Blue Moon.
Yeah, Blue Moon. That's what I was looking. That's probably the most popular wheat beer in the US. But unfortunately, what's the biggest selling beer in the US?
Bud Light.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Yeah, Bud Light.
It's a Budweiser.
Now, Bud Light was the official beer, if you could believe it, of Fenway Park for a long, long time until very recently, where we finally got the real beer that should have been at Fenway Park. What is now the official beer at Fenway Park in Boston?
Sam
Adams.
Yes, absolutely. That's it. Sam Adams. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy the tequila, the margarita. Remember, you have extra syrups. If you don't want to make a hard drink out of it, just skip the tequila. Shake the ingredients, the sour and the syrup together, and just add, I always like to add soda water, but you can add regular water too. That's how sodas started. They started at a pharmacy too. Early sodas actually had medicine in it. Pepsi had pepsin in it. It was to settle your stomach. We all know what Coca-Cola had in it, right? 7-Up actually had lithium in it. Can you imagine that? So they were putting some chemicals into those early sodas. Thankfully, I think now there's just different chemicals, but not medication, so to speak. Well, I'll throw it back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks.
Very
So
great
good.
job.
Great job.
All right. Thank you, Eric. That was a lot of fun, Jim.
Oh my goodness, Greg, we have so many knowledgeable colleagues, and so it's close, but I would say Doctors Rao and Bave very close for the gold. Dr. Need coming in with third place. And I think we learned so much with our clinicians here. We ought to have some kind of continuing education credit for tonight.
I like
think.
that.
Yeah.
I like VJ's backup plan that if being a physician doesn't
That's
work
right.
out,
That's right.
VJ, we'll sign you up. You can do some parties for us next year. Silent auction is still open. There are some fabulous packages. There's a wine tasting at Mallow Run. There's the Indy 2-seater car. You get 2 laps at 180 miles per hour at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Lots of golf packages. So the silent auction is still open, and of course you can still donate.
Dinner with the sisters.
Yep. Jim, are you a big fan of online polls?
I'm a huge fan.
Are you? All right. Well, I from my smartwatch, I did an online poll. We asked 100 people this evening, which of the co-hosts most resemble Pierce Brosnan as James Bond? And the results are you ready?
It's a tie.
No. Out of 100 people, 99 people voted for you, that you resemble Pierce Brosnan. My mom, hi Mom, she voted for me, but she put in the comments, who's Pierce Brosnan? All right.
In that spirit then, these cocktails in the James Bond tradition were shaken, not stirred.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've reached the conclusion of our virtual event. I want to say thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everyone that's joining us online, and thank you to those that are watching the live feed. Just remember, every gift is benefiting our Franciscan Cancer Center, and it's helping people through some very difficult circumstances.
Yeah. Think of the video we saw with our bone marrow transplant patient. Right. These are real people that get real assistance. And as Dr. Garrett said, when we can conduct our screening programs, we find cancer early, and that's so important.
Yeah. I just as a final comment, I would say that all of our patient assistance funds, that the Cancer Care Fund is the most active. And there are multiple requests every week for things like that we've talked about tonight: healthy food, help with transportation, help with car repairs, just getting to and from treatment. So go ahead and keep bidding on the silent auction and making a donation. This kind of feels like the Jerry Lewis telethon. And so I think I'll do a Jerry Lewis move. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. We're done.
Very nice.
We're done.
Very nice.
Thank
you
so
all.
much,
Thank you all for
everyone.
all you're doing.
We
Take
appreciate
care. Have a
you.
good
Good
night.
night.
Oh, good zoom in on the drinks.